The year is 1944. The destination, a remote village in Germany. And what is being delivered is one of the deadliest secrets of World War II. A secret that has haunted the Allied soldiers who lived through it for over 82 years. It's a story so horrifying that it was hushed up for decades, even as rumors of an infamous massacre spread among the troops. But why were these men chosen for annihilation, and why was their death kept a secret for so long? Let's find out. It all started when Hitler ordered his army to attack the weakened Allied lines in the freezing Ardennes forest. The plan was to exploit a gap between the American and British forces, splitting the Allies in two. As temperatures plummeted and snow fell relentlessly, German troops advanced. But as they pushed deeper into enemy territory, something unexpected happened. They encountered almost no resistance. Day after day, the Germans closed in on the town of Malmedy, pushing the Allies back. By December, the situation was dire. And as the Germans entered the town, they found themselves face to face with hundreds of American prisoners of war. What happened next would become known as the Malmedy Massacre. The German officers ordered the prisoners to assemble in a nearby field. Under the pretense of organizing an exchange, they allowed the Americans to leave their camp in small groups. But once outside, the prisoners were met not by their liberators, but by German soldiers who opened fire. Over 80 American prisoners of war were cut down in cold blood. Those who survived the initial volley were finished off with bayonets and clubs. German medics even went so far as to help the wounded prisoners, only to turn on them once they were in close enough range. It was a brutal, unjustifiable act of violence. And yet it was only one part of a much larger, much more sinister story, you see. As the battle raged on, entire American units began disappearing into the dense forest. Now some were lost to the elements, others to German fire. Now many were taken prisoner, only to vanish without a trace. Weeks later, as the snow melted, the Allies discovered what was left of them, frozen solid, huddled together in the woods. Their uniforms torn, rifles still clutched in their hands. There were tank crews trapped in the undergrowth, their vehicles abandoned. And even medics going about their grim work were found frozen in their tracks. It was a haunting testament to the brutality of the Ardennes offensive. But the full horror of the battle was impossible to imagine until one American soldier came forward with his story. He told of how he had gone missing in action during the fighting and ended up in a German POW camp. There, amidst the stench of stale waste and despair, he saw hundreds of emaciated figures, their eyes blank, their bodies barely clinging to life. When the Americans recaptured the camp, they found evidence of unspeakable acts. Documents detailing how the prisoners had been used in medical experiments, injected with diseases, force-fed, lobotomized, their bodies mutilated for the twisted pleasure of German doctors. And finally, there were the children. The innocent victims of a war that had consumed everything in its path. Dozens of them had been left orphaned by the fighting, their parents killed in the crossfire or taken hostage by the Germans. Some had been separated from their families for months, surviving on their own in the ruins of bombed-out buildings, their tiny forms dwarfed by the rubble around them. Others had been caught in the crossfire their day, starting with a bowl of watery soup and ending with the hope of a better tomorrow. A hope that was often dashed when bombs fell and the search for food became a life-or-death struggle. These are just some of the countless stories of courage, horror, and tragedy that unfolded in the Ardennes forest during one of the deadliest winters in history. It was a time when the fate of nations hung in the balance, and ordinary people were forced to endure extraordinary circumstances. In the midst of the chaos and destruction, however, glimmers of humanity, kindness, and hope endured.